All right, so hello everybody, and welcome to the 81st episode of SparkCast. Joining us today is Spark Thomas from Team Dakota.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going well. So we didn't get to have the Sparktacular Jam. I almost said GameCube. Game Jam episode about the winners from the developers Game Jam. So we haven't had a chance to talk about like our rankings or anything of the sort.
Yeah, no, that's true. We did not have a Sparkcast last week because I was really busy.
Indeed. And without you, it would just me be talking about, hey, all those Game Jam entries are really great, guys. They're great because they're great.
Yeah, no, I can definitely I'm able to give, obviously, now that we have like winners out and stuff, I can kind of give more feedback and talk personally about what I liked about, different creations and stuff. Of those. It's been a while now since I played some of them, so hopefully my memory serves me right on most of them at this point. But I mean, I did my judging like early January, so it's been like a month.
Something weird's going on. I don't think we're live.
Doesn't look like it, from
No.
my view. Well, it says live, but I don't have an image. I'm gonna try refreshing the page.
That's what I just did. All my settings are the same.
Hmm, interesting. Wonder what everybody else is. I see, like, it's weird because it says live, and then it's not. Oh, wait. Okay, now they're telling us we're live.
Oh, I'm on the Project Spark official Project Spark channel. That's probably part of the problem.
Oh, for you? Really?
Yeah, I left it on your channel. Whoops. Okay, so nothing was wrong. Just I thought it was because I was stupid.
Okay, well, mine actually isn't working, and I'm on correctly on the Project Spark community site.
Okay.
So mine didn't show it for some reason.
All right,
Yeah, mine still is weird.
we're good. I can see we're live. It's good.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Okay, so
That was awkward for like 2 minutes.
eh, whatever. It is what it
Whatever.
is.
Is what it is. If people have been expecting like, triple A broadcasting at this point, they'll be sorely disappointed.
No, the bar was set on our initial Sparkcast where Brian couldn't even talk the entire episode some without the rest of us being muted. I think that was what the problem was.
Yeah, there is something like that. I remember the inaugural one.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. Where we had Aristotle Demal on, and he basically didn't talk, and then Mike, Let's Go, and Henry joined in, and then it became a well, tell us about you two show.
Mm.
So we've
Yes.
come a long way because now we went from some people we care about to you. All right.
Uh, I
All
want this
right.
thing to work for me on my end. Okay. Anyway, so
Game
to
Jam.
continue on, yes, Game Jam. So yeah, so I'm happy to talk about all the winners and all the certain things that I liked about, all the creations that I can recall. Um,
Let's
hopefully
start
I
with the arcade category. It's like because that's
yeah.
what we've judged first.
Yeah, let me so before we start rolling on this train, let me just point out. So I'm sure many of you are curious about like Status Park and like TU17 stuff. And I'm not able to share anything about that stuff on the Sparkcast. Just know like on TU17 we're still working on the licensing thing. And I know the Status Spark hasn't come out yet or whatever, so people are kind of anxious.
So now I'm even more curious because you mentioned it without me mentioning it.
No, I told you I was gonna share that right off the bat.
Yeah, you
Um,
did off air, but no. Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so let's
So
go back
that's
into
it.
slip back out into the game jam, the arcade entries. So were there any surprises for you as far as what the ordering or anything that you weren't expect? So we knew there were some entries that were gonna be good, and then some of them were there like any dark horses or anything like that.
Um, well, I would say that two that I just didn't really know anything about, and then they placed really, really high. They weren't on my radar until I like judged them, right? And obviously, being a community person, I'm tuned to what everybody's talking about. So like, I'm watching, which, have big collaborations going on, and what I can kind of expect, are going to be like, big entries. And I think the two that really surprised me, because I just didn't hear about them really until I judged them, was I would say Sphinx's Mage Zero.
That was Epic, not arcade.
Oh, you're talking about arcade first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking in general. Arcade, though, I can easily answer that too. I would definitely say Spore Hunter. I didn't know anything about Spore Hunter until I played it. I didn't see it talked about super frequently, and obviously Spore Hunter took a second, so that's awesome. That was a really delightful surprise when I played through that. I did know, of course, I knew about Tabby and Shield because we talked about that on stream and even on SparkCasts. We talked about I knew One Time Hero for sure too. Uh,
Well,
the
Defco had been working
Defco
on
and
it
Zfools
forever.
collaboration. Yeah, and Zfools joined us on the Sparkcast. Yeah, exactly. And Defco had been working on some of those art, level designs before we ever talked about the developers GameJam. And then I think a pretty one that was kind of a dark horse too. I kind of knew about it, but is Chromatic. And that one, was just by Eric and the Bakery, and that took third, and that was, a really, really good offering, and a lot of fun. And I don't even think Eric and the Bakery started, when it first announced. I don't think he started working on it until like 3 weeks into it or something. Like he had a delayed start compared to everybody else.
Yeah, I was similar. I didn't expect anything from Get a Job either.
Oh yeah, Get a Job. Yeah, I didn't know anything about Get a Job at all until I judged it.
With Get a Job, it was interesting because what I went into with expecting, as soon as I saw Get a Job and I saw the preliminary stuff, I was saying, "Oh, this is gonna be cool. It's gonna be like Papers, Please." And
Oh, that's
then
right. Yeah, you told me about that expectation.
when the things started falling from the sky, I'm like, "This is not Papers, Please." I've seen this game type before, but then it threw in a couple new mechanics of the budget cuts and the IRS
Hmm.
that gave it a little bit more oomph to get it through.
Exactly. Yeah, like with the obstacles that were kind of coming across or whatever, and they're hard to like. I don't know. I always got trapped by the scissors, which I think is like cutbacks, corporate cutbacks or
Right.
something. Then I think the IRS is that what is that one that falls? I think that one falls with like the rest, so it's kind of disguised as a job. And then the corporate cutbacks are like that. I don't know. There's like three or four of them that are tough to navigate from.
And I think
Let me.
what Eric did really smartly was he borrowed from a previous Game Jam submission, which was Project Sparker's Infinity, where he used the background based off of the Infinity to have the blending of colors in the background, which
Yeah.
fit thematically fantastic. It just looked great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely like obviously it was eye-catching compared, and it was cool because it felt different from that because it was pretty much a still, right? And then the UI was like working on top of it, but that he like froze it, whereas in Project Sparkers and Infinity, it's very fluid and moves around and changes and goes with music. So, like because of how dramatic the use case was, right? You didn't like you knew what it was from, but it didn't feel the same at all.
Yep, nice remix of that. Nice remix of that. Remixes are good sometimes. They can be good
Yes,
sometimes.
it can be good. Speaking of which, I'm going to quickly. I did pick a world, if you didn't know, for tomorrow's stream. We are doing it. I just was late on a choice because of Zeefels hosting it last week, and I can easily admit I just forgot about getting a world out earlier after that. I was supposed to hunt for a world like that day, and I just totally spaced. So there is a world though, and it's on our forums. It's on the sticky thread for Thursday's creation stream. So check it out. It is Batman chapters. Let me I'm pulling it up right now.
That's actually
The Batman chapters by Nudge 4511. So I'm looking forward to seeing remixes for that. But yeah, there's about 24 hours left to remix, and it's like the Bat Cave, and it has like this awesome primitive Batman that you can like do stuff with in different costumes. And I don't know. I want to see people hopefully like make a mission using the mechanics that are already in there. I'm expecting some people are gonna like art up the cave, because there's definitely some like cool things you could do with that space to make it really like feel like the Bat Cave. Um, but yeah, but anyway,
I'm
I
Batman.
can't wait to see what people do with that.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
So, real quick, as a tangent, my favorite part about the Batman trilogy is when he talks in the Batman voice to people he already know he's Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
So at one point, a Catwoman finds out his identity through Bane, and then he continues talking to her in the raspy voice, and I'm like, okay, this is great.
Is that like, is it ever been like shown? Is it him just disguising his own voice, or is it like a modification on the suit that does it for him? Or is he literally just talk lower
He
for
just
fun?
literally like puts the raspy voice on, but
Where is she?
because there are times when he is in the suit and he's just talking to his normal, "Hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm not really Batman. I just whatever. I wear a cape and a cowl."
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a really nice tangent there,
That was. You got to
and
do
we
my best
can
Batman voice.
we can now talk about the people who happen to win. You know, because we'll mention them briefly, uh, in passing, I guess. Uh, one Tim Hero, also known as One Time Hero to some, was Defco 70 and Zeefels, who put together a side-scroller shooter that looked fantastic. The biggest problem with that was probably the difficulty, where it just had sudden spikes and then
Hmm.
plateaus. It didn't really have a nice curve to it, but that was the worst part about it, and it was still a really good game.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about with the difficulty spikes. They were I think I ran into those the very first time I played it. I think I've much gotten better at it so far, or yeah, just gotten better with it. Because I think I had a pretty good run, playthrough on stream last Friday. Like I got to the last boss fight. I wasn't able to
That
beat it
wasn't
on.
even the last boss fight.
Oh, well, I got to that boss fight, I should
So
say.
that's the thing. There was actually another half of the level afterwards, and then the ending was just you run off a cliff and that's it. It's a thanks for playing.
Mm,
So it was anticlimactic. Uh, if there had been another boss fight at the end that was even harder, then that would have been like something, you know, of a curve there. But instead, it was a peak in the middle, and then it was just kind of a plateau or dip afterwards.
yeah, I need to put on the Paradox moves, Moo Moose power up and go check that out then, because I actually haven't seen that.
And
The very like end.
so for that boss fight that you're having trouble with, when you're in the first phase, you have to shoot in both directions and fire bombs repeatedly at the same time. So that's how
Yeah,
you get past phase one. And the phase two is just timing, like standing still in the middle, and timing the shield so the zombies explode when they touch you. And then phase three is just jumping back and forth, shooting the things.
hmm yeah. I would always forget to use my bombs. Defco actually messaged me after, and he's like, "You're forgetting to use your bombs," and I totally would forgot when I was on stream playing it. And one thing with the control scheme that makes it kind of harder is that you're like trying to use the triggers to shoot like right or left, and then the bomb and shield retrospectively is like, right bumper and left bumper. So trying to do both of those, like I don't know, it messed me like I would forget to use the bombs like all the time. And
Except for
obviously,
enemies that actually explicitly could only be killed with the bombs.
yeah. I mean, and you gotta also think like the right bumper. You have to like try to aim it right with the right stick. So I mean, there's a lot you have to try to do at the same time, and not that it's not possible, but it is challenging.
And if it was an extended game, like if there was like 10 levels or something like that, I would expect that the best solution would have been to have the tutorial expanded to be within the game. So you get each of these mechanics to go one after the other, after the other, after the other. So you build the skill set of the player up rather than just getting
Also
them
telling the story or whatever.
right, rather than just throwing all the mechanics at them and saying, "Here you go. Here's your tools, and here's all the enemies you're gonna face, and go after them."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think your point is makes sense if they were able to get to a longer extent of different levels and could have kind of done a more gradual like arc. Um, but yeah, like I think their strategy for like the one, the training area makes sense for how what it ended up releasing like. Um, of course, a bigger arc and like more gradual like training up would have been pretty cool. Like, maybe the first level you're just using the right trigger or left trigger, and then you get like introduced to your bombs before, and there's like all these obstacles just with bombs, and then you have to, oh yeah, I need to still use the right trigger, left trigger at the same time as the bombs, and then you get introduced to the shield, and that, or maybe you find something and then you get a shield, right? Maybe you don't have a shield before that.
Right. I mean, you could even envision these mechanics being pushed into a Metroidvania, where you don't get the super jump until later,
Mm-hmm.
or double jump until later, or the hold X and then uh, hold X to sprint or jump higher type things. You don't get those until later, so it opens up different avenues to go through, where you've
Yeah,
run
a
through
little
that
bit more
hallway
of an
before.
exploration than a
Right.
2D side scroller that's just straight.
Right. So instead of just going to the right, you could go up to the left in all those other directions and be like, wow, I've seen this area before, but now that I can do this, it's a totally different area.
Yep.
Woo.
Cool.
All right, so yeah, it goes without saying that level looked amazing, and
Yeah, I mean, it's as far like anybody could go and needs to remix that and like learn how so much of that was done, because I think pretty much the number of best practices in there of how to make Spark stuff look great without killing your prop limit is like that is the definitive example of how to do that.
not only that, but he used different techniques throughout the whole thing, because
Hmm.
he's mentioned in one of his streams that he started making buildings in one way, and then as he was going, he was learning other techniques. So by the time he got to the end of the level, he was making them totally differently.
Hmm. Yep. I'm not surprised. You learn along the way, and then you kind of have to revise what you started out in the beginning, because you're by the end your technique is so much more solidified.
So one thing that all of the creators who use level linking and leaderboards together found out was they don't work well together. Is there
Yes.
a best practice, a way of using those two things together that will actually function?
I think I'm pretty sure, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I remember the community, somebody in the community did post kind of like a how to, like once that was going. That was something I think was really popular in like the last week of the developers game jam. So that, around the 20th, I guess, that kind of time frame. Because all these people are running, they were trying to get their level linking in order and the leaderboards. And, that's when people were running up those issues. But yeah, I mean, I've seen there's kind of really two ways to do it. There's either where you have a hub world and you're constantly like going from like back to the hub world between missions. So and every time you go back to the hub world, that's like where you like record your score and you kind of always have your score based off of that hub world. Or it's like you keep it totally linear and it's just one, two, three, four, and there's no kind of hub. I think it's tricky when you start like you have a score in the hub world, but then you have like like for instance, I think like on One Time Hero, it can be pretty tough and kind of confusing because I think the hub world has a score, but I have no idea where it comes from. And then you go training, and then you like go back. There's a level selector right in the hub world, but you when you play through it, it just levelings you directly from one to two to instead of taking you like back to the level selector. So I think that's kind of keeping it more either it's like totally linear or it's like constantly checking back in the hub world is like the way to go.
And basically, just if you have any thoughts on this, post it on the forums and
Yep.
get some help. Get
Mm-hmm.
work something out that for the greater good of the community, everybody knows about it because it'll be there forever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I will be the first to admit that I'm sure the community has more insight and like best practices that I personally know off the top of my head.
And before we move on to the epic creations, do you have any thoughts on about the ordering of the arcade entries? Like, do you have any thoughts on did they fall the way you thought they would, or
Yeah. So I pulled up the list here so I could actually see what I'm talking about. I think the top 10 was like pretty much the top 10, that I had. As far as the ordering, there are, I guess there's like a few things. Like I am surprised. Like I personally had like get a job, higher than seventh, like on my list. I think it was closer to like four or five. Um, I also like my top three or four. My top four had every single of these top four. I had One Time Hero, Spore Hunter, Chromatic, and Tabby and Shield. The order of them, me personally, like so One Time Hero was my number one, but it was only number one by like 1 point for me. And then I think I might have had a I can't remember my two, three, four. It was really close though. My one through four were like really close. And that was kind of like a clear distinction I saw. There was kind of like it was kind of definitely a kind of a bar. It ended up being. I mean, that was the case too. That's like our finalists, and then obviously our runner up and our winner. So they definitely separated themselves out. It was really high quality and a lot of effort. I'm trying to think of otherwise. Like I think cubed for me too was higher than eight. Like I'm pretty sure for me, Get a Job and Cubed were higher than Acorn Quest or Super C Salome.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have Super C Home. I think it was my 10th ranked one.
mm.
So, but
I understand and totally think its placement is totally valid on all of these, right? Because it was a combination of judges. Like um, they're obviously all really fun to play, and there's a lot of cool like intricacies with like Super C Salome and the whole racing there, and then Acorn Quest is also a ton of fun. But like yeah, I personally thought I thought Get a Job. I put it higher than Acorn Quest because they're also very
they're
between
similar. They're the same
compared
genre,
to
basically.
direct, yeah, they were very similar. And I thought Get a Job had, with the creative job titles and a lot of the aesthetics with the art, with like designing those actual drop downs, like that felt obviously like a lot more effort was put in there, I think, than like with the standard acorns. But there was also like a lot of other elements that came into Acorn Quest that Get a Job didn't have, with like the goblin running around stealing the acorns you didn't catch, and you also had a second chance to grab those. And then there was also a bunch of modifiers and abilities and stuff. So I don't know. It's hard. I appreciate them all, but I do remember I had Get a Job higher and cubed, for sure. Fall Down 2D was probably my ninth or tenth, and that was mainly because it was pretty low on like originality, just because it was a game that we've already seen before in Spark, and it was actually already published by Acid Rain, and he kind of took it and just converted it to game. But I mean, it's really solid, has really high replay valuable, value, and that's why it was in our top 10. But that's kind of where I think that ended up being on that part of the list. Was I think the originality score was hurt, at least for me personally, it was.
The one level I had in my top 10 that didn't make it into the top 10 here was
Mhm.
oh, make sure. Oh, never mind. It was in the epic creations category. That's why it was. Oh, I'm stupid. Let's move on.
Well, hey, I got confused too. Like I do forget that we had two categories.
And we're
Sometimes.
revealing number 8, Evolution.
That was so embarrassing.
Zach is like,
Zach was laughing at me so much.
as he
That
should
was
have.
fun to have Zach too on stream. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, but you didn't make fun of his man bun or his ponytail, so.
I, no, I was excited to have him. He was my guest. You can't make fun of the guest.
Oh,
He has
I
to be
disagree.
there you go.
All right, so we've covered all of the ones in. Yes. So
Mhm.
real quick, I did also similarly have One Time Hero in my top spot. It was only up by 2 points, and I actually had Spore Hunter and Chromatic tied
For a second.
for second.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I think I kind of glossed over it, and I didn't really probably give it the time that it's due. But like, so Tabby and Shield was really good. I think the only thing that made it not one or two was how it didn't feel like totally finished, right?
yeah, the polish score was very low because it was just so incomplete.
I mean, there was so much in there, and the certain things that they did concentrate on, that whole team, were like really well done and polished. But though, like there were certain things you could tell where they didn't get to finish it, or what have you, and that I think that's kind of what held that um, creation back because
Right.
I
If they
and I
had known what they were gonna do going into it and concentrated on that exact thing and just focused on that box, then they'd be great. But they stretched it out too thin, and it just watered down the experience to the point where it was the fourth place entry, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have loved. I wish it was more. It did feel more complete and polished. At least that's on my own score, right? That's kind of where it got hurt a little bit, and ended up being like, just under Spore Hunter or Chromatic. But
There was a lot of work in there.
Yeah, I would have loved to see it. Take first or second. Like, I mean, if it was completed, I think it would have given One Time Hero a run for its money. It would have been neck and neck on who would have won. Like, I wouldn't have been able to know.
Right.
Um,
It's hard. It's impossible for us to say at this point which one would have
yeah,
won because one was more finished than the other.
yeah.
And yes, it is correct to blame Doobie Snacks for the failure of that level. He spent too much time doing voiceovers. No.
I like the voiceovers. He was pretty funny.
He was rather glib for a ship AI, but yeah. And for a tutorial, he was a very what's the word I'm looking for? Fostering for the tutorial voice. Where he's like, "Why are you yelling at me, Doobie? Stop!"
But it makes it memorable, and I think that also gets a lot of points.
Yep.
Rather than like your very typical.
I am a computer machine. This
Yes.
is the tutorial level. Not that can't be done well, and it was in like Invasion, but
Yeah, Invasion or Axiom's Bend, like those have all done it really well. Like, I mean, Project Spark, I think we're still at a point, right, where anybody who does VO is like going above and beyond the norm, right? So it's always a good thing to include. But no, I think it definitely stood out, Dibby's and Axe.
speaking of transitions, voiceovers
Yes.
that happened in Orbit 32 Resilience, the winner of the Epic category.
Oh,
See, that was a
okay.
great transition. I even pointed out the transition. That's how good it was. All right, so segue, yes. Anyway, so I just did the segue motion. You can't tell.
I can't tell at all.
But in any event, they won the category because it was epic-ish.
Are you doubting the epicness of it?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I don't know that there have been epic poems about it written, but whatever. It was a big project that was put on by a big team. Not that was predominantly done by Word Andrew and Danker Pie, is my understanding.
Yeah, Lady Lex UK and Nightmare UK mainly contributed with voiceovers.
As did
And
Eric, which was
yeah.
awful.
Yep, Eric and everybody. But yeah,
They took
I
a
mean,
rather
Orbit
simple.
32 Resilience, I don't know, it's really, really good and a standout. In this category, it was like, it was really highly competitive, but number one definitely stood out. I think the arcade category was like 1 through 4 was way more, like, it was really, really close, where in Epic, like, I would say like 2 through 5 or 6 or even further, where like, there was more entries that were competitive with each other, but really with Orbit 32 really separated itself. I mean, like, Orbit 32 is amazing.
So they took a really simple like gameplay mode, which is twin stick shooter, which you can make right out of the box in Project Spark.
Yep.
But they fleshed it out to make it a much more unique experience than you would if you were to just start making this as your first level.
Exactly. Yeah. They
Providing
went,
weapons in the secret areas, which I didn't even know there were secret areas. I was just blissfully going through like, this is where I'm supposed to go, and that's where I went. And then when I watched people play on streams, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's
yeah, there's
cool.
a bunch of nook and crannies. I was actually really glad to find that. Although I like cheated, apparently I didn't cheat, but like so on stream when I played it last week, I found the grunt, I think it's called, which is the hidden gun in the new Los Angeles, and for that gun, it was
You got to get the key for it.
like I'm supposed to have like go take the intel, get it processed, and then I get like the password to get into the door. And like I was able to like just get into the door. I don't know by spamming B or whatever, but I was able to go get the gun without ever doing the intel part.
And maybe this door mistook you for being intelligent. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's quite a mistake.
So the voiceovers in that level were extensive. They said they kept running up against the 10 megabyte limit in the level, so that they had to keep cutting out stuff, which is itself impressive if they made it big enough that it has to be cut down. So while it was impressive, was it fun?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'll be honest and say like I mean I judged as much as I could of it. I can say that I didn't get all the way toward the end because I didn't spend hours on it. We didn't require our judges to spend hours and hours. But I think I had a pretty good, healthy idea of what from what I saw, through it. Um,
It was hard to get
and
through all of the lengths of the epic creations, especially like things like
yeah, it
Glory
was.
Fool, which to this date, my understanding is only one person has finished it. So
Yeah, I mean, that it was a challenge, no question. I mean, like Magical Hat too is like a crazy adventure that I didn't get to the ending of Magical Hat at
it
all
looked
either.
amazing, and it was like a great aesthetic, and it's a nice combination of materials that were repurposed and made look nice. Though it could have used a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Lighting. Yeah, but
Well,
no.
go remix it. Go hit it up with some light bulbs.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna spam light bulbs everywhere.
Hmm.
Like, I just imagine like Buzz Lightyear just they're a meme for me, like light bulbs everywhere. You know?
Hmm. So greedy medic in chat thinks Magical Hat should have won.
And
I don't know.
there's a legit argument to that, but
There is, yeah.
it just comes
Um,
down to the
Hellshay
scorecards.
is a super talented creator, and it's I think amazing. Like as one individual, he took second. Like I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, if we had a game jam where it was individuals only, he'd have a really good shot because he did a great job with Frostbite 1 and 2, which were, you know, greatly overlooked, I
He's
think, in the community.
he's yeah, yeah, I don't know why. I love Frostbite. Those are like excellent. Uh, I mean, that was like I remember I played through all of Frostbite 1 before episode 2 came out, and like I was gripped all the way through to the end, and I was like, not often, right, in a Spark creation are you like, wow, like that was so good. Like I can't, I just can't stop. Like that was, I felt so like, when it got to an end and and there was like not mission 2 yet. And yeah, it was really good. It was really gripping. Frostbite was a fantastic Spark creation.
Somebody should
Let's
do
see.
a let's play of that one, of those two, actually. Go through and
Yeah.
play all of episode 1 and all of episode 2, just to get it out there on the YouTubes.
Get it on the YouTubes. That'd be cool. Maybe I'll do that on a Friday or something. That might be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like teams could have never spent their time playing Spark levels.
Probably spend too much time playing Spark levels. I wish I could go like the thing is like I'm always trying to find new stuff. Is like I find myself not replaying old stuff, um, and it's kind of sad because the old stuff's really obviously like the really high quality stuff that we've already found or whatever. Like revisiting it makes you really appreciate it again. And I wish I could go back more and do that. But I'm always trying to find the new stuff, right?
Well, in your free time, you could always record these videos and do Let's Play Project Spark and make your own channel and make millions of dollars that way. Just be the
Oh
next
yeah,
PewDiePie.
thinking.
Just be up there and go, oh my god, guys, we gotta run to the tower! Oh my god! That's how you're next PewDiePie. And I can see it in you, Thomas. It's like the
Can
little bit
see
of
it.
light that's inside of you. You're mostly dark, but a little bit of light.
The little bit of light is that there's a little YouTube star in me.
Just a little one, yeah. And we're gonna call the feds soon.
That's hilarious. I don't know why I remember this, but like this, my one manager from a long time ago, um, he just was like, I don't know why, but I just think you're gonna end up on TV. That's what he said. He's like, you just will end up being like in on TV.
You're going to be the little person wrestler that fights along with the luchadors in Spanish TV.
Oh God, no, stop.
You will be El Zitarg.
How's the targ? That's actually pretty sweet. That's a cool name.
Okay, so we're going back to Project Spark now. That's our another next segue back to Project Spark. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay,
Um,
let's do it.
so we talked about Magical Pat, and then the third place, which I actually had very close to being first place, along with Orbit 32, was actually Mage Zero.
Mm-hmm.
That actually had great lighting in it.
Yeah, it was very, I think, I don't know, probably the most out of if you look at between even arcade and epic, I would probably put I would probably say One Time Hero, and then and then Mage Zero for aesthetics.
It had an owlbear.
It had an owlbear.
Albie.
Yep. Albie was his name.
And you knew what was going to happen as soon as you saw the owlbear. You know it was going to explode. Because that's what owlbears do.
They
Or they
explode.
fade into non-existence, or, generally that's what happens with owlbears.
Mhm. So now the question is this. I have a question for you. Were you able to get past the trolls?
No.
'Cause
But I really like the level anyway.
I really, really liked the level, and it was awesome and really well done. But like the difficulty ramp up, I think that's what hurt it and to made it. I really think Mage Zero could have gotten second if the difficulty was more kind of balanced, or like it didn't immediately get to a point where it felt like impossible, because the troll fight felt like impossible.
Right. I mean,
Um,
if it was a top-down or isometric or a side scroller where you didn't have to do so much aiming and it wasn't as difficult, then it would focus on the execution of the spells rather than 3D manipulation of space. I think you would have had a much more successful run.
yeah, the auto targeting was kind of a challenge. Especially like in the heat of combat, like I didn't mind it so much when you were doing like the bugs, and it kind of felt like you were trying to like hunt them down, and like that was fine. But when you had the actual trolls coming after you, like they were still hard to hit, even though they're like in your face. And then on top of it, there's like 8 just like hit reaction you to death. And definitely the combat part was like the main negative on Mage Zero,
It was
unfortunately.
also the highlight and the negative, like the
Yeah,
combat.
but the whole like spell combination thing, I'm like blown away and think every spell game in Spark should be done like that at this point.
I
Like
mean, if they had focused on that and let that shine, it would have been a totally different experience, and I think it could have beaten Orbit 32.
it could have, yeah. There's no question about it. I wish I need to go back and play it even like I need to try to get past that troll part. Um, really do, because I'm sure there's more that I'm missing from that. But I like tried I in the with respawning to that area, you spawn all the way back and you have to do the whole long walk back. Um, it made it like I tried like
You lose motivation, yeah.
yeah, I tried like 3 or 4 times and eventually wasn't able to do it.
So speaking of things that are long runbacks or otherwise frustrating, I played Evolution 3 times. Twice on the save local version, then once on the live version to see if it was any better. Uh, and I couldn't actually link to the second level. I could only play
Oh,
the first level over and over again.
yeah, I encountered that too, where you could just get to Arctic and then it wouldn't drop you like the level link or whatever, wouldn't get you back to um,
The hub.
isn't it the forest? I think is the next one.
Right. So
Uh,
it just kept sending it right back to the Project Spark hub as opposed to um, letting me continue with the level linked.
hmm
I think I
Yeah,
played an animation, and then after that it was like back.
yeah. I mean, there was the super epic. If you remember the epic cutscene where you like get into the portal, you remember that at the very end? It was sweet. Where you like jump in and it's like this whole portal thing or whatever.
Yeah, and that's when they show you the evolve from the fox into a wolf.
Yeah, exactly. hmm Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, there was definitely kind of weirdness with the level linking. Hopefully it's fixed now. But there's a number of reasons why that could have been while we were looking at it. But
Yeah, I thought it was just the local save issue, whereas may had some hijinks come up in the local save coming to local save, but no, it wasn't that. It was actually straight up the live version had it too. So
and I would also say with uh I would say though, like I'm not like just seeing what 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 or whatever though. I think evolution, um, I think even with the level link or whatever, I'm pretty sure evolution um, would have probably gotten still around 8th place.
I thought it
Right.
could have. Well, let's see. Oh, look at the competition. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I think evolution was really good, but I mean it's really hard to say that, right? When it's like the next one up is shipwrecked, which
right.
was awesome, and
And
Terminal
Terminal
Island
Island,
is awesome,
which
and
was Tackley is putting out everything he knew about Project Spark and saying, "This is all of it in one level."
right, basically. crazy.
And
And right,
then
and then Maponis Osiris
which
is
had the amazing dialogue, which had a really cool dynamic camera that actually like made it more engaging rather than where in most Spark levels it's just here's one camera that's going on during this dialogue scene, and this person's talking, and then this person, and then this person, and then this person. Whereas this one is like, whoo. Okay, you can't see any of that,
I
but
can't see it, but I'm laughing anyway.
okay, okay.
I think your sound effects are awesome.
I think that was just the whooshing of the sound by my mic.
I'm imagining you went like, but I
Pretty
don't know.
close, yeah. Except you did it better. But we'll not focus on that part. And then Glory Fool, which was a really solid side-scroller shooter, except it was, again, it was similar and it was a little easier than One Time Hero, I think.
It was definitely easier than Redfall.
Yeah, well, Redfall, you cross a bridge, then you die, over and over again.
Redfall was like really punishing, and then Redfall forced you to start over, where this had like a continue option.
And the one thing, so Redfall Gloryfall looked amazing, because he had some nice cell shaders and cool combinations of props. But I think the problem with that was it just felt a little wonky as far as where my character was, and the movement just didn't feel very fluid. It felt kind of like sluggish at times, where you're just floating in the air. You're like, no, move, and then you kept moving with momentum. You're like, no, stop moving, and then it wouldn't. So
Yeah, I would say my one gripe with Gloryful was there was a point where I thought the difficulty wasn't difficult as much as like unfair, right? Like you can appreciate difficulty when you there's a certain strategy and you need to go into it. Like I just started Witcher 3 finally on but I'm playing it on Death March difficulty, which is like the highest you can go. You don't have like health regen unless you have food or whatever.
it sounds
Uh,
really bad, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with it because it forces you like the when you come into the combat, like you can do it, but the trick is like you have to be really well prepared with the fight you're going into. Like you have to make sure your equipment's all updated and repaired. You need to like have the right oils like on your weapons, choose the right weapon for the fight. Have your every like there's like a bestiary that you like there's weaknesses on different monsters and stuff. So
So you can prepare, you can plan, you're the
yeah,
one. Your
so
skill
like
set is the one that's
through
going to
yeah,
dictate what
so
happens.
exactly, yeah. So you can like analyze the situation and react to it to make it easier for you. And it's still a tough fight even after you do all that preparation, but you like level the playing field with all the prep work kind of. And that like to me is really cool, and I'm really enjoying The Witcher 3 so far because of that. But like bringing it back to Spark or whatever, like you want difficulty to feel kind of like that, where it feels like you can I don't know, you can do something about it. And like in Gloryfall, it was just like all of a sudden like these people spawn directly behind me and I don't even have a warning that they're coming to even try to dodge it.
So you have to
And
memorize the patterns. So the next
yeah,
time you
I
play, you
mean,
can do it.
I guess I think the memorizing patterns is like kind of crazy
Oh
though.
yeah, I mean the
Um,
word the example that was given out a little while ago was in I believe it was a Fire Emblem game with one map. Occasionally, an event would happen where either a bridge would collapse or enemies would spawn throughout the map in specific locations. And if you didn't know that they were going to do that, then your party's just going to get wiped.
mm,
So you basically have to play through a 30-minute battle campaign, get to that point, and then lose, and then try it again, knowing that that's going to happen.
so you can be like ready for it.
Yeah, but I mean, is that really a good way to go about designing a level?
Yeah, like yeah, I'm see like that thing to me that's like a frustrating experience that just equals into, forcing you to play like 30 minutes longer, right? In a way.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
that's kind of like it's like, where if you're walking along and there's just a bridge that like you would never know, there's just a bridge that immediately collapses and you just like die. And then like you're forced to do like a crazy, obviously if it's a tight loop, it doesn't really matter so much. Like, there was a couple like in the recent Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I played through all of that. It's really good. But there's like these floor traps that you'll definitely die by one of them at some point, and you just walk along the trap. Don't see it, don't happen to catch it with your hunter senses or whatever, and you fall through the ground and die super graphically because Tomb Raider
That's what
does.
it does. Yes.
Yeah. Um, and but like it feels cheap in a way, but then you're also it kind of fits the lore a little bit because you're like kind of invulnerable and it's like a trap, right? It's the whole point. But like it doesn't it's not terrible because you quickly go back to where you were. Like there's a checkpoint not too far away. Like it's almost immediate, like it's like right there by that trap. But if it's 30 minutes back and you're forced to play through it all, that's when it's
Painful.
ridiculous. Mm-hmm.
So, one example from One Time Hero that was actually kind of similar was the rocks falling in the temple, where it actually gives you an alert that they're about to fall when the other tiny rocks animation shows.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep, that was really cool.
so a similar thing could have been done with the enemies coming from behind, where you don't have to memorize the pattern of where the rocks are falling, but you just have to check to see if their pebbles are falling before you time your jump. Similarly, in Glory Full, there could be a little alert saying, little circle or something that just flashes behind where they're going to spawn, and that way you know they're coming from this location behind you in a few seconds or in 1 second. So you can actually move out of that way, so you're not just
Yeah,
sitting there
like
and be like,
a flashing arrow or whatever
yeah.
behind would have been really nice. Chat's making fun of you, and I can't see your face, so maybe you are, but they're saying you look so disinterested unless you're talking.
It's very true.
Sorry, I'm not entertaining.
No, I'm just very uninterested in chat. That's the problem. I'm reading chat while you are talking, and I'm just like, these people are morons.
Oh, okay. So feel bad, chat.
Feel all the bad.
It's not about me.
So I guess we'll move on to. We've talked about Monopolis Sears a little bit. Do you want to go in a little bit more about that?
My favorite component about that was the one. I actually really thought it was cool how you eventually get the companion who comes with you, like a friend.
Mhm.
Like I feel like most Spark games when they've done a companion, they're like very not interesting to me, and they're kind of a hassle to deal with. And I really enjoyed this companion who comes with you, this Codian guy that you end up rescuing, and that's what I thought that was really well done, and that kind of relationship, and he's kind of the storyteller in it, and also like the trap sequence that you go through, and like you have to prevent him from dying in the traps, but you have to like there's like a sequences, right? I think you got through those hopefully. But there's the sequences of puzzles, and then you walk through it or whatever. You're probably pretending or something. I don't know what you're doing. I can't see you. But anyway, you like walk through the series, and then you have to turn the trap off, and then you can go back and get your buddy to walk through to the next one. So like that to me like worked out really well, and they kind of built this camaraderie, collaboration, I guess, or whatever. And so yeah, that was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I was just nodding the entire time.
That's cool. I I feel at such a disadvantage right now because I can't see anything. I should try refreshing this again and see if that works.
And after that
Yeah.
was Terminal Island, which was a survival planet explorer
Yep.
type
And that
situation.
one's that one definitely stood out because very different mechanics from the first. And it had procedural elements too, so you couldn't like just rely on the same thing that you did. I really liked it. The day and night was cool, and the resource, kind of scavenging through. Um, One thing I think would have been an improvement, at least I did I wasn't fond of the how like a certain thing to craft was like limited to one terminal, right? Like you would have to go find the specific terminal to go make an axe, as opposed to like each terminal is one that you could just make any crafting that you wanted to from. I thought that would have been better than like you had to almost seek out these terminals to go make something. If you wanted, I think the right way to do that is if you want to like limit people to what they can craft it into like a certain order. Like I think recipes is a good way to do that, where there's like hidden recipes and you have to go find that recipe to build it. Uh, where there's like the actual crafting bench where you have to like go remember where it is. The where to build the axe or whatever for the bench. Like that seemed kind of strange to me. So that would probably be my biggest piece of feedback on that creation.
The
What
art
your
was also a little bit default. It seemed like it had a day night cycle, which was nice, but the art was pretty much a straight out of the box Spark, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would definitely I mean I wouldn't say anything stood out. Like I think the environment itself was pretty cool, but like yeah, the art of the different objects and stuff, there wasn't too much done there with it. Uh like I think I don't know. Oh, it's so hard because those are so good. I mean, I think aesthetics would have helped Terminal Island get up higher, I'm sure. Of course, like it's really tough competition. So I really don't know the answer on that, but it was
Yeah, it could have made it to like it could have made it 4, I think, at the tops of that because I don't see it beating Mage Zero or Magical Hat.
I don't I mean yeah, I don't know.
Because Magical Hat was just like it was like so whimsical and fun. Where
Yeah, I mean it Magical Hat is just felt like an I guess he played off of all of our nostalgia of like a Nintendo 64 3D game of like hubs and walking around and trying to find things and changing up the gameplay with like fun little events all around and find the pet rocks and do this boat race and that kind of stuff. It's just really fun.
next up is Shipwrecked by Greedy Medic. He's in chat, so we can just skip that part and
Yep,
go
he
right
doesn't,
to
doesn't need to hear about anything. We
we
talked about evolution
we talked
already.
about evolution. Black was interesting because it was so dark. It that worked for it and against it in a way. So it looked cool, but if you ever got off track, or at one point I lost my
Your
my
light, right?
the light mechanism of attack, so that was stuck somewhere and it wouldn't follow me anymore.
That's
And
yeah, you can't like do anything at that point.
so I just ran around for a little bit. It was like I'll start over now, and then after the second time doing things, it wasn't as fun. So
Yeah, I think that the novelty kind of once you I mean it's really cool, but I think the novelty could wear off pretty quick, especially if you found yourself having to replay through it, because of something like that. Uh, yeah, it was really cool. It was really interesting. I like the whole. I mean, the unique part of it was this like really dark world, and it grabbed me, and I think that was what it had going for
it
it.
had nice flavor text when you ran into different creatures that weren't trying to kill you, like the giant cyclops and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you ran into them because he was kind of like cuffed into a corner. I almost didn't find him.
The Cyclops.
Yeah,
Trying to remember.
I think it was just a giant troll that had a single eye.
I or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
due to
honestly
the
can't. I
due to the
can't tell. I can't remember at this point.
yeah, it's been a while. We
Yeah.
judged this like over a month ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Project Dust by Mr. Wicket and Biztone. Uh, so this was the one where it was sci-fi, and you could actually assign your skills to different buttons. Do you remember that one?
I do. That's I was trying to. I was trying to remember Project Dust. When we were going through the list, I was like, "Ah, what Project Dust? Which one was it? Um,
So
it's
it was sci-fi, but it was also in a desert.
yeah. You wake up like on a table or something, right? And
Right.
then they like talk about, and you have like there's some war going on, but your like memory got wiped, and you became like a super weapon. I want to say that.
Generally, I think that's what it
Yeah, I
was.
think you're like a weapon. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I need I need to read it.
it was interesting, but the problem was it still ended up being you had like a cooldown for your weapons and stuff like that, so you couldn't just spam X. You had to maneuver around before you hit X again to attack,
Mm.
rather than just repeatedly punching goblins.
So did you like that or not like that? You did
That
like that?
it was an improvement, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It
It
wasn't
didn't
made
make it
zero.
still super interesting for you?
Yeah, it wasn't made zero. It was better than default, but it wasn't substantially better. And I guess we'll move back to Shipwreck real quick because we made him wait long enough. So again, the problem I had with that was the default combat. Whereas the environment was cool, the quest system was cool,
Yeah, UI was
storyline,
cool. I think that
UI,
I still think that like I think my biggest plus for Shipwrecked is I think it just has the scope of like a good amount of quest and like skills and stuff that's not overwhelming for players. Like I think it just did it just enough where it's like interesting, but it's not like 10 power-ups and all this. Like I mean, I think there's two things you eventually unlock, right? And then there's certain skills or like certain like stats that get better when you find these pages. But I think it had like the right scope for a Spark game where it wasn't like so much where you felt like you had to actually invest and learn the systems, but you could kind of just play and enjoy it and kind of learn along the way. Um, that's probably my biggest plus on it. But so
And
what was you were talking about a negative and I totally interrupted you.
no, it's fine. I lost my train of thought anyway. The one thing I do want to bring up, it was a similar game, kind of, that I thought was worthy of the top 10, but I was sad it didn't, was the Tiny Adventures, or Tiny,
Oh yeah, Tiny Adventures must have been like 11 or 12. I think it just missed the top 10 because Tiny Adventures was really cool. Where
I'm not
you
even sure that was the name. I know Tiny was the first one. I'm not sure what the rest of the name of the game was.
I can look it up in a second. It is Tiny Adventure. No. Ah, I can find it.
We're Google battling.
Talk about it. Well, I don't know, hunt it.
So you had multiple characters that had different skill sets and attack things in different ways. And not only that, but there were several different levels. I can only think of three off the top of my head that you could go to right off the start to.
Yeah, there's three levels, and there's the ice one, the Halloween one, and then the fire one.
Right.
Um,
And you
the
can do the
one that
menu
you're
order.
thinking of is well, where I just had it. Tales of the Tiny.
Tales of the Tiny. There we go.
Yep, by Al one Nicholas. I don't know if it's out Nicholas, but it's the AOU1 Nicholas.
Gotcha. But yeah, that was definitely worthy of being in the top 10. And it's just a matter of there not being more than 10 levels in the top 10. That was what it came down to, I think.
Yeah. No, that one was really cool.
It was clear they put a lot of effort into it, and that
Yeah, the other one there's one that was in my top 10 that I don't, obviously that I don't think made it in other people's, but I had Mars 2 times
which one
by
was
Cone
that?
Puncher. It's the one where you're on the Mars base and you like get on a speeder bike and you
Oh,
fly through the desert canyon or whatever.
yeah, it was good, but it wasn't totally polished. And I also got to a point where I actually had absolutely no idea of how to progress, and everything I tried or tried to talk to or whatever, it just didn't result in anything. So I was just like, oh, that was the end of that. It wasn't very deep into the game either. It was when I was trying to get up to the ship, I think. So
Interesting. I was able to get on the ship.
I tried everything. I went everywhere, stood on every pad I could think of, pressed every button. No prompts came up, so I was just like, I guess that's it.
Yep.
So I guess that brings up another point. If you're going to be judged, then you have to make sure the judges actually get to see the content.
Mm-hmm.
So it does lead to a little bit more hand-holding, but if judges can't find out where to go, then that's kind of the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean I think that was the entire point in One Time Hero because they knew difficulty would be challenged, so they included like the little power up to make you like invincible, so you could like see everything at least, right?
Right. Though I never actually used the moose.
I
Oddly
I,
enough.
I used it I think part way through the Skylines level before I like gave up on it. And then I like, decided to take actual damage and test the combat. Because obviously being totally invulnerable makes it pretty hard to test the combat.
Right, yeah. Especially
Um,
because some weapons inexplicably did more damage than others. Like the little block that shot. The little.
it's like a one-hit kill.
Yeah, the one right before the temple entrance,
Yep.
basically. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one got me a bunch of times.
I think that leads to another point where you have to be informative with the attacks. Like when that attack looks pretty much the same thing as all the other weapons that are being shot at you, and that one just happens to be a one-shot kill. I'm not sure that's a fair mechanic or not.
Hmm.
So it's beyond difficulty at that point where it becomes like you had no way of knowing this was a one-shot kill. There's nothing that designates this being a one-shot kill, but it is a one-shot kill. So it's like a learning clinic was put on with the GameJam where people learned what not to do through what other people have done well, but their little their faults really come through when everything else is so good. Those are the small things that really make a difference in who's going to win. And One Time Hero could have been a much bigger blowout than what it was, but I think the difficulty curve really hurt it, as well as the lack of PC controls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like know when I judged, I did not harshly judge anybody who like didn't have PC controls. Like it was, if at most, it was like one or two.
Yeah, it was 2 points for me. I figured that
Yeah, but I
was.
mean, like in my mind, like it's I hold to this. I know it's controversial or whatever, but like a creation that includes PC controls, like if there's two creations that are exactly the same, but one went out of the way to do PC controls, obviously that person put in more work, and the score should reflect that. Um, right? Like it's kind of a complete Project Spark game supports both controller and PC controls.
That's a good way of looking at it. All right, so do you have any final thoughts on the game jam, or
I would just say that we had a really fun time. Like, Team Dakota hosting it. Prize fulfillment is already happening. Almost everybody already has their game codes. That was the majority of prizes that went out, obviously. And then we're working with both first and second place winners regarding like all the other goodies and stuff that they get, the mentor sessions
so those
and
have the like? I remember the codes have started. So you've been trying to hunt down people to get the codes out already.
yeah,
Have
I've
all of them
only
gotten
got
out?
well, I just so if I knew for sure you were getting a rare replay code, like that's what you just got, I just gave it to you. But of course, we had a choice of Forza 6 or Gears of War. And obviously, I don't know which one to give a person, so I'm like waiting to hear responses. I think there's only two people at this point I haven't heard from. And I just need to do, I'm sure it's just because people get busy or whatever. So I just need to ping those two creators to find out which game code they want because
I know you
I'd
were looking
love
for
to get
Sphinx
it.
a little bit earlier, and I was able to get a hold of him.
Uh, I I'm pretty sure I connected with Sphinx.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I'll check. I can't remember. Uh, I'm not gonna specifically out anybody for
Yes, you
whatever
are.
reason right now about who I haven't talked to. Uh, but yeah, no, just about one or two. I think two right now, two codes left. But yeah, messages on all the codes have actually been sent out. So
And this is the part
good
of the
stuff.
show where we shame those who did not participate, but could
Hmm.
have. Lucid Stew, Kill and Joke, they had a entry that fell apart. Product Sparker, I'm not sure what you were doing, dude, but what?
I'm
What?
just laughing. You're so mean.
And
People are allowed not to enter if they're busy or don't have time or whatever. I totally get that. People
people who
have
didn't
lives.
enter are bad people. Not including me because I judged. But everybody else who didn't enter, and excluding Microsoft employees, so I'll forgive Bob for not submitting something again. Though there should be a competition where it's Team Dakota versus or Microsoft versus community. That'd be a fun competition. Have all the people at Microsoft who are willing to participate in stuff. So it's basically Bob Schmacky versus everybody, um, everybody else, and see what happens. Yep, Swarmhammer is a terrible person. I'm not even
Who
sure
would
he's a perfect
judge?
person.
I don't. Who would judge though?
Me.
You just always want to. You want to just determine winners.
I'm a very judgmental person. I'm putting it to good use.
Yeah, we've been I think we've been pretty giving pretty decent feedback in this Sparkcast, so I'm pretty actually excited about that because
I
I don't know, it's like I really do. I mean, I think it's unfair really for Team Dakota to like start early, before judging's finished, or before announcements are given, to start giving feedback, because that's like influencing what can be worked on, or for whatever reason it's just you
well,
want to
I'll be the
wait.
person who comes with the rules then. That way, you guys won't know ahead of time what the rules are when you're the ones laying down the rules.
There you go.
So one thing that I did see mentioned a few times was people thought that the participation was actually down this time, whereas compared to other game jams where there was like 400 or so entries, a lot of those entries were just people that just uploaded a level using the bare minimums, and like put an empty world up that happened to have a game jam name in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, like, yeah. So, like, I mean, with the Ford Game Jam, like, if you remix that level, your entry was considered an entry. That
And with
creates this, right?
similarly
And
with the
that's it.
community game jam, and if you had those tags in the level, it was considered an entry.
Yep, like everything got counted. Where in developers Game Jam, we didn't see, it was a kind of a little bit higher barrier, so we just didn't see every creation that we got, people put effort into it. It wasn't like a Crossroads world that just they put DGJ on it.
Right.
Um, that
And
wasn't what we got.
the other thing was there was a whole lot more levels that were
Yep.
collaborations, and many more people per collaboration as well.
Yep.
So it was probably more people that were actually participating at a higher level in this game jam than in previous game jams.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue we had more participation in Developers Game Jam than Creation Jam. Because the Creation Jam, we got a lot of, it was good participation too, but people had multiple entries. So, like, right, I mean, Charging My Laser, right, he had like 6 or 7, and a lot of people had at least 2 or 3 or 4. That was really common to see in the Creation Jam. So, I mean, there might have been more people, but it was really comparable, even if it seems like there was more entries. And there was a lot more entries in Creation Jam, but that's obviously big difference from asking from huge experience, build big, from building something that's less than 40 props.
Right. So on that note, I would like to just congratulate all the winners and all the participants because good job. It was enjoyable to play through that
Yeah.
stuff.
No, it was, yeah. I'm really proud of just all the, awesome stuff that came in, and I've been excited to share, the winners and the list here with, everybody at Microsoft and Team Dakota, and it's been cool. It's, you guys really delivered on, the whole goal of the developers game jam. So it was really cool to be part of.
So will the people that the winners of the game jam talk to have played their levels in Project Spark?
They hopefully should. They have all been notified who the winners are and have been encouraged to play everything. Some of them may. I'm trying to think if there's overlap with who judged and who's a mentor. I can't remember at this point. But yeah, yeah, they'll. I'm definitely encouraging them to play so they can talk about their creation, with them. I think that would be cool. We're still like trying to set up on like what the winning teams, what they want, right? Like who they want to talk to, because there's different skill sets and stuff like that.
Right.
But
So they get a number of conversations with developers as well as a separate number of conversations with ID at Xbox.
and then they so this all takes time to coordinate, so it's the idea Xbox call will take a little bit of time. But we're the one thing that we're moving really quick on and going to do very soon here. Actually, one team already has their virtual tour tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So that one will be out of the way for one of the teams, and I'm hoping to get the other team done with the virtual tour too. And then and then really it's mentor sessions and then yeah.
And so we do have other things to look forward to. Those who didn't get their projects submitted in time, such as Vector Shadow. Do you remember that game from a long time ago from beta? Vector Shadow. Well, he made a complete version of that game, and he was intending to make it in time for the Game Jam, but didn't. Similarly, Conqueror Bastard, still being worked on. Infrared, who just joined chat, he's working on a pretty sweet-looking first-person shooter engine.
Yeah, that looks cool. I
Uh,
saw videos of that.
I do have to point out one thing where in his stream he mentioned that he deleted a lot of code because he didn't want the combat to last that long. I hope he didn't just flat out delete it, because sometimes some encounters could last longer and just be a change of pace rather than just throwing out the code. That's an aside, totally. I know Zeefels, Bob Schmacky, Word Andrew, and Defco, maybe another person in there too, are working together for a tactical RPG. So my understanding is Zeefels is having problems with his laptop, so that's why he hasn't been uploading any of those tutorial videos for those of you who are following along. But I believe he plans to continue making more of that series.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him. He's still making videos on his YouTube channel. He's doing a Let's Play of a Final Fantasy game right now.
Right, because he's literally just putting a camera over his shoulder to look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
So-
he's getting a lot of views on it. So I mean, one of his views is like 1,000 people or something.
Is that
And
the
he's
one where you're playing guitar?
No,
No.
this is him playing Final Fantasy. I saw one of them had like 1,000 views. I was
Oh,
like,
it's because it's a new IP, so it just came out the other day.
bad game.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thomas as well for usually joining us on occasion.
Don't need to thank me.
Well, I do have to thank you because you weren't here last week, so I couldn't thank you
That's
last
true.
week.
That's true.
And without further ado, we're over an hour. I think that's a good way to call it. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to entrants because it was all great stuff.
It was. It was excellent.
All right. Well, so we guys see you next week, and Thomas, we'll see you tomorrow for your creation stream at 3 p.m. Pacific.
Yes. Get your remixes in again. Batman chapters. And it's in the sticky thread on the forum for the Thursday creation stream. So looking forward to playing through those. Should be fun.
And a let's play at 2 p.m. on Friday. Yes.
11 a.m.
Oh, 2
Pacific
p.m.
time.
Sorry, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Damn you, time zones. Okay.
Uh,
All right. Night, guys.
Cool. All right. See you.